This happened about 3 years ago when I was working the night shift at a local hospital. I was 32 and had been a nursing assistant for a while. The hospital always felt a little eerie. The white walls were sterile and bare, and the flickering fluorescent lights made everything feel strange. On that particular night, everything seemed quiet, just me and a few nurses on other wings doing their rounds. I checked on room 305, where the lights were flickering earlier. They glitched again when I peeked inside. As I stepped back, I heard a faint cough. I looked again, but the room was empty. Maybe someone was around the corner? I shrugged it off. It was just an old building, I thought. The next night, when I was in the break room sipping my cold coffee, I heard a voice. It softly called my name. "Daniel," it whispered. I froze. The clock said 3 a.m. The only other person nearby was a nurse, and she was busy with her paperwork. I figured I was just tired. Night shifts could mess with your head. I tried to push it out of my mind. On the third night, I started seeing shadows out of the corner of my eye. I thought I saw someone move, but every time I turned to look, there was nothing. My heart raced. It had to be my imagination, right? I told myself to focus on my duties, but the feeling of being watched didn't leave. I couldn't shake it off. By the end of the week, I was exhausted. The flickering lights and shadows made me feel anxious. That night, I was filling out charts when I heard whispers coming from the break room. I pressed my ear against the door and tried to make out the words, but it sounded like a conversation between two people. I opened the door to check, but the room was empty. I felt cold, like something was off. Maybe they just left? Who knows? Then, as my shift was ending, I walked back to room 305 one last time. Just before I reached the door, I heard my name again. This time it was louder. "Daniel!" My heart pounded. I stepped back, deciding to leave, when I saw a figure. It was a shadow, barely visible in the dull light, standing at the foot of the bed. It stared at me. I asked if they needed help, but I got no answer. The air felt thick. I struggled to breathe. I don't remember how I got out of there, but once I was home, something shifted inside me. I knew I couldn't return. I never did. What were those voices? What happened in that room? It's been 3 years, and I still wonder if I really wasn't alone that night. I can't shake the feeling that there was something more to those shadows calling my name. It still haunts me. 3 years passed, but the memories of that hospital clung to me like a shadow. I couldn't escape the images or the emotions tied to that night. It was time to confront what happened. I felt a strange pull to return, even if it terrified me. I drove to the hospital one afternoon, the sun shining fiercely above, trying to wash away the darkness in my mind. As I neared, the building loomed large, its white facade looking both familiar and foreign. Taking a deep breath, I stepped inside. It was much quieter than I expected. The day staff was busy, but it felt different in the light. After a few moments, I found myself standing before room 305 again. I hesitated. My heart raced. This was the room that had haunted me. The memories screamed at me to turn back, but something urged me forward. I needed answers. As I turned the doorknob, I felt a chill run through me. I wasn't prepared for what lay inside. Slowly, I pushed the door open. The room was clear. Just a bed, a chair, and medical equipment lying idle. The air was stale, the silence unnerving. I stepped inside, my eyes scanning every corner. Nothing seemed out of place, yet everything felt wrong. Then, something caught my attention on the bedside table. A small piece of paper lay there, folded neatly. I picked it up, my fingers trembling. It was a note, written in shaky handwriting. "Help me, please." My stomach dropped. Who wrote this? Was it from the patient I never saw, or from someone else? Suddenly, I heard a noise behind me, footsteps echoing in the hallway. I turned, but no one was there. Panic gripped me. I had to leave. I shoved the note into my pocket and hurried out of the room.
As I paced the corridor, I heard faint whispers again. "Daniel!" I froze in place. It was unmistakable. This time, it wasn't just a voice. It felt like a summoning. I sprinted toward the exit, my mind racing. Who was calling me? My heart pounded as I reached the door. Outside, I gasped for air. I felt dizzy, disoriented. What just happened? I got in my car but clutched the steering wheel, the note burning a hole in my pocket. I couldn't make sense of it all. As I drove away, the urge to understand pulled at me. I glanced in the rearview mirror. In the reflection, there it was, a shadow lurking near the exit. I blinked, and it was gone. I needed to uncover the truth behind that room and the whispers. I couldn't ignore it any longer. What was the connection? I swore to myself this wasn't over. That evening, I began searching online for anything I could find about room 305. I couldn't shake the feeling that it was calling me back. There had to be something more, something I was missing. Then, everything went dark. My phone flashed, receiving an email notification. I opened it. The subject line sent chills down.
What happened in room 305? I clicked the email open, my heart racing as I scanned the content. It was a long message, filled with details about a series of events that took place in room 305. My skin prickled as I read about the night shift that had preceded my own encounter in that room. The email detailed a patient named Lisa who had been admitted after a severe car accident. There were incidents of her screaming in the night, pleading for help, but no one could figure out why. It seemed she spoke of a shadow that lingered near her bed, always just out of sight, but ever present. My gut twisted. Could this shadow have been connected to the voice I heard? I read on. It mentioned how Lisa eventually stopped responding to staff, slipping into a deep silence. The email's author, a fellow nurse, claimed that she had found the note I discovered, the very same one pleading for help. But instead of being folded neatly, it was rumored to have been found crumpled in Lisa's hand after she passed away. I felt sick. What had happened there? I needed to find out more. I searched for contact details of the nurse who wrote the email. Reaching out felt risky, but I was desperate. As I typed a message, a sound from behind startled me. It came from the hallway. I turned, half expecting to see a familiar face, but saw only shadows dancing in the dim light. Maybe it was just my mind playing tricks on me. The feeling of being watched hung thick in the air. I sent the message, then tried to shake off the discomfort. Instead, I settled onto my couch, the note from room 305 still crumpled in my pocket. The more I thought about it, the more questions flooded my mind. Why did Lisa stop responding? What could have frightened her so deeply? The night dragged on, and as the clock struck midnight, my phone pinged with a reply. "I don't usually talk about that night," the response began, "but if you're asking, things happened that I can't explain. I'll meet you tomorrow, but you need to be careful. Room 305 carries something dark." I read those words over and over, chills racing down my spine. I typed a quick response, agreeing to meet, but my mind was already swirling. What had happened in that room? I needed answers, and now there was a sense of urgency pushing me forward. Then, without warning, the lights flickered. I glanced up, my heart pounding. A shadow moved across the wall, a dark figure seemingly watching me. I stood frozen, unable to breathe. This shadow was different. This one was close. I rushed to the window, looking out into the night, but all I saw were trees swaying in the wind. I felt a wave of anxiety crash over me. Perhaps I was getting in over my head, or maybe something was reaching out, wanting me. To come back, to face the truth. As I turned away from the window, my phone buzzed again. I briefly glanced at it. An unknown number. I answered hesitantly. "Daniel, you have to stop digging," a voice warned, low and urgent. "You don't know what you're messing with." I hung up, my blood running cold. Who was that? My next step was becoming clearer.
I couldn't back down. I had to confront whatever waited for me in room 305. I just didn't know if I was ready for what I might find. I woke up the next morning with a knot in my stomach. The meeting loomed over me like a dark cloud. I kept replaying the warning from the mysterious caller in my head. You don't know what you're messing with. What did that even mean? I spent the morning gathering my thoughts, all the while trying to fend off the anxious whispers in my mind. I thought about Lisa again. What had she experienced? Whatever it was, it had taken her voice. I needed to understand. I arrived at the cafe where I was supposed to meet the nurse. The place was bright and bustling with people, but I felt out of place. I scanned the room until I spotted her, a woman with curled hair pulled back in a ponytail and tired eyes. She looked a little older than me, maybe in her 30s. "Daniel?" she asked, waving me over. "Yeah, I'm here to talk about room 305, I said as I sat down, my voice steady despite the chaos inside me. Her expression changed, turning serious. "I'm sorry you got dragged into this. Are you sure you want to know?" I nodded, desperation outweighing my hesitation. "I need the truth, please." Her eyes darted around the cafe before she leaned in closer. Lisa wasn't just a patient. She had a history, a connection to that room. This might sound crazy, but... She paused, swallowing hard. Some said she could see things that weren't there, things that would make you question your own sanity. My heart raced. Like what? Shadows, voices, a pull toward the darkness. Her voice dropped to a whisper. When we'd check on her, she'd be staring at the corner of the room, terrified. She'd say it would speak to her, torment her. Did anyone believe her? Some did, but most dismissed it. Until, well, things got worse. One night, she just stopped responding. After that, it was like she slipped away. I found that note, crumpled in her hand. I felt a chill crawl up my spine. That note had held so much weight for me. What happened next? She was pronounced dead the next morning, just like that. It felt like whatever was in that room claimed her. I don't want that to happen to you, Daniel. Her warning hung heavy in the air. Suddenly, the conversation felt too real, too close to the edge of something dark. I could see it in her eyes, a reflection of my own growing dread. "I have to go back," I insisted, surprised at my own determination. She shook her head sharply. "I can't let you do that. You don't know what you're inviting in. Lisa isn't gone, not completely." Before I could push back, her phone buzzed. She glanced at it and paled. "We need to leave," she said, urgency spilling from her voice. "What? Why?" She didn't reply, just stood and pulled me with her. The cafe suddenly felt claustrophobic, as if an invisible force was closing in around us. That's when I saw it, a shadow darting through the crowd, moving toward us. My breath caught in my throat. The feeling returned, that unmistakable sense of being hunted. I didn't know what it was until I felt her grip tighten. "Run, Daniel!" she shouted. We dashed out the door, the shadow just behind us. I had questions, but one thing was clear. Whatever was in room 305 was already following me, and I was running out of time. We burst into the open air, the light shocking after the dim cafe. I was breathing hard, the urgency of our escape squeezing the air from my lungs. My mind raced as we weaved between tables and chairs, but I couldn't shake the image of that shadow. It felt like it was connected to me now. "Where should we go?" I gasped, barely keeping pace with her hurried steps. "Just keep running," she shouted back, glancing over her shoulder. We dashed down the street, the shadow just behind us. I had questions, but one thing was clear. Whatever was in room 305 was already following me, and I was running out of time. We burst into the open air, the light shocking after the dim cafe. I was breathing hard, the urgency of our escape squeezing the air from my lungs. My mind raced as we weaved between tables and chairs, but I couldn't shake the image of that shadow. It felt like it was connected to me now. "Where should we go?" I gasped, barely keeping pace with her hurried steps. "Just keep running," she shouted back, glancing over her shoulder. We dashed down the street, slipping into a narrow alley that felt darker still. The sounds of the cafe faded, replaced by the echo of our footsteps against the pavement. I could feel the anxiety coiling tighter, winding around me. "What was that thing?" I managed to ask. She didn't answer right away. Instead, she slowed down, attempting to catch her breath. Her eyes bore a haunted look. "I don't know for sure, but whatever it was looking for you. Or for Lisa." "Why me? What do I have to do with this?" "I don't have all the answers, but you're drawn to that room, Daniel, and so was she. It's like a magnet." She looked at me intensely, her expression fierce. "You need to stop this before it takes you too." I processed her words, struggling to understand the weight behind them. A magnet? Was there something more to this connection? I can't just walk away. If she's still... My voice faded away, the reality of what she suggested settling in like a stone in my stomach. Before I could come to terms with that thought, I heard it again, the indistinct rustle that made my skin prickle. We weren't alone. The shadows from the alley seemed to deepen, swirling ominously around us. Frantic, I turned to her. "What's happening?" "Stay close to me. We have to find a way out." Suddenly, she froze. Panic washed over her face, and she pointed toward a figure that
had emerged from the shadows. A man, or something like one, stood at the opposite end of the alley. His eyes glinted with something unnatural, and his expression twisted into a grim smile. "Lisa is not at rest," he said, his voice cold and distorted, echoing in a way that sent chills down my spine. "You shouldn't have come here." I staggered back, instinctively reaching for the nurse's arm. "What do you want?" I stammered, heart racing. The figure took a step closer, the shadows flickering like flames around him. "This is just the beginning. The room holds more than you could ever imagine." "What are you talking about?" "That note wasn't just a farewell. It was an invitation, and I'm here to collect." Every instinct screamed for me to run, but my feet felt stuck in place. "No, we won't let you take anything more," the nurse yelled defiantly. Her bravery broke whatever hold his words had on me. I turned to her, the resolve bubbling inside. "We need to fight this," I whispered, though uncertainty clung to every word. Then, without warning, the ground beneath us shook, the shadows roared around us, and all at once, everything went dark. In that instant, I knew something terrible was about to happen. In the pitch darkness, all sounds faded. I couldn't even hear my own breath. The weight of the shadowy figure pressed around us, swallowing the light and any hope. I instinctively squeezed the nurse's arm tight. "Is it over?" I whispered, trying to convince myself that it was just a trick of my mind. But the darkness thickened, wrapping around us like a blanket, suffocating. I felt a wave of unease wash over me. "We need to move," I finally said, my voice barely a whisper. I tugged her forward, but the alley seemed to stretch, elongating into an endless void. Suddenly, a flicker of light pierced through the dark, pulsing like a heartbeat. I squinted, focused on the glow that seemed to come from nowhere. "This way!" I shouted, and began pushing us toward it. We stumbled forward, then tripped and fell as our feet got caught in some unseen barrier. The light danced above us, teasing, as if it were mocking our desperation. I raised my head, almost willing the darkness to step back. And then I saw it. An old door appearing in the recesses of the alley, dark wood and rusty hinges barely holding it together.
"Daniel, wait!" the nurse shouted, her voice shaky. "It's a trap!" I hesitated. The pull toward that door felt magnetic, strong. "But what if Lisa is behind it?" I countered. Every instinct urged me to push deeper into the unknown. "No!" she cried out. "Don't listen to him! Don't open it!" But my feet were already moving. I reached for the handle, the cold metal sending a chill through my fingers. I turned it slowly, feeling the weight of her breath behind me, urging for me to stop. Then the door creaked open, darkness washing over us once again, but deeper this time, almost welcoming. I crossed the threshold, heart pounding. The air was different in here, stale yet thick, and it pulsed with an energy I couldn't understand. I looked back, and the nurse stood frozen at the door, fear etched across her face. "You shouldn't be in there," she pleaded. "Then come with me," I urged, but she shook her head, fear locking her in place. The strange pull intensified, dragging me deeper into the dim space. I stepped forward, feeling tethered to whatever waited inside. Shadows flitted across the walls, forming shapes and whispers, while behind me, the nurse's anxious voice faded into a distant echo. Then I caught a glimpse, a flicker of white crashing into darkness. And that was when I saw it. A figure, frail yet hauntingly familiar, turned toward me. It was Lisa. "Help me," she said, her voice barely a whisper. My heart seized as her eyes bore into mine, filled with a mix of sorrow and desperation. "Lisa!" I shouted, but before I could take a step closer, the room began to twist and fold around me, warping my sense of reality. Something was wrong, terribly wrong. "Daniel, no!" the nurse shouted from the doorway, her voice slicing through the chaos. "Get out!" I was torn. The shadowy world pressed in on me, and the familiarity of Lisa's plea pulled me deeper. I needed to make a choice, and fast. That was when the walls of the room began to close in, threatening to consume everything. My heart raced. If I didn't act now, I might be lost forever. The walls seemed to swirl, and I felt my world tipping at an angle I couldn't control. I reached my hand out toward Lisa, desperate to touch her, to pull her back from whatever darkness held her captive. "Wait!" I yelled, but my voice echoed back to me, warped and distant. "Daniel!" The nurse's voice pulled me back for a moment, but the very air in the room felt heavy, suffocating. I was caught between the two, torn in this dark limbo. I realized then that I was in danger, not just from the shadows, but from losing my grip on reality itself. "Help!" Lisa cried out again, and her voice twisted my stomach. I glanced back at the nurse. She flinched, her lips trembling, and I could see the terror in her eyes. "Please, you have to listen to me. It's not her." The shadows around me thickened, almost alive. I could hear whispers, following me like phantoms. They circled as if tasting my fear, urging me to doubt what I saw. I turned to the darkness, swallowed by the desire to save her, to prove the nurse wrong. But as I took a step forward, the floor beneath me shifted. "Don't trust her," the nurse shouted again. Her voice struck me with a clarity that cut through the haze of my desperation. I hesitated and could hardly breathe. "She's not who you think she is. Daniel, you need to escape." My heart raced as the cold realization hit me. What if this was a trap? But Lisa's pleading eyes held me captive. I was fighting a battle between love and fear, longing and instinct. Suddenly, the whispers grew louder, drowning out the nurse's cries. "Help me," they chanted, echoing Lisa's voice. And in that moment of chaos and confusion, everything shifted. The room twisted violently, and the shadows coalesced into a single figure standing before me. This new silhouette was taller, more imposing. "Are you so eager to plunge into darkness?" it taunted, its voice smooth and mocking. It was like the shadows had taken form, a creature born out of the very fear that gripped my heart. I stepped back, the weight of panic heavy on my chest. Stay away, I shouted, realizing I needed to escape this horror. But every direction seemed to lead deeper into madness. I could hear Lisa's voice blending with the figures, a terrifying harmony that made my skin crawl. With adrenaline surging, I turned and sprinted toward the door I had just come through. Hope surged when I saw the glimmer of light beyond, but as I reached for the handle, I felt a sharp tug on my shoulder. I spun around, braced for the worst, but it was the nurse, her expression desperate yet fierce. "You have to go, now!" She steered me back toward the door, but the shadows lunged, reaching for me with clawed fingers, hungry and relentless. In a final act of will, I broke free from her grip, my hand clutching the door handle like a lifeline. I slammed it shut behind me, plunging into the light. But as I caught my breath, I realized I had left something behind in that suffocating darkness, a part of me I might never reclaim. The nurse's voice faded behind me, her frantic warnings a distant memory. I turned to look back just as the door warped, sealing away whatever horror lay beyond. But as I stepped into the next moment, I couldn't shake the feeling that the shadows weren't finished with me yet. I stood in the hallway, the bright lights flooding my vision, but my mind was still enshrouded in darkness. My heart raced, and I could feel sweat trickling down my back. It felt like a dream, but all too vividly real. I had escaped, yes, but what had I really left behind? I took a deep breath and looked around. The hospital corridor was eerily quiet. No one seemed to notice I had burst from the room, not even the distant sounds of medical equipment. Just stark white walls and the hum of fluorescent lights that buzzed like angry hornets. Where was everyone? "Daniel," a voice called to me. It wasn't Lisa this time. It was the nurse, her eyes filled with urgency. "You need to come with me now." I took a step back, confusion flooding me. What just happened in there? What does she mean she's not who I think she is? My words came out in a rush, fueled by the adrenaline still pumping through my veins. "The patient? She's not who she appears to be. I can't explain it all now, but she's dangerous," the nurse said. Her voice was low, almost a whisper, as though saying it too loud would summon the shadows back. "But I saw her," I protested, fighting against the instinct to believe. "Trust me, Daniel, it's not safe here," she insisted, glancing over her shoulder as if the shadows had followed me out. I felt my spine tingle at the thought. Before I could respond, a loud crash echoed behind me. The sound reverberated through the hallway. Every instinct screamed at me to run, but I turned anyway, dreading what I might see. The door to the room I had just escaped slammed open, and the air filled with a cold gust that sent shivers racing down my arms. A figure stood in the doorway, silhouetted against the light. I squinted, but it was as if the brightness was drowning out all details. Suddenly, from that darkened outline, I could make out erratic movements. It was almost like, were they clawing at something? Struggling? "Run!" the nurse shouted, grabbing my arm. There was fear in her eyes now, a fear that mirrored my own. I didn't argue. I followed her as she pulled me down the corridor. We turned several corners, the sterile environment morphing into a labyrinth that twisted and turned. With every step, my mind raced. Why did I leave Lisa? Wasn't I supposed to save her? I thought about the whispers, the mockery. Just then, we stumbled into a small break room. The nurse pushed the door closed behind us. She leaned against it, breathing heavily. "We need to talk," she said, panic still lingering, but also a hint of determination. "What's happening?" I demanded. "Why was she?" "Because she's already taken other minds," the nurse interrupted, her voice tense. "You're not just dealing with hallucinations. That part of the hospital, I don't know how to explain it, but it's not right. It doesn't just house patients, It feeds on fear. I felt a chill run through me, a cold realization settling in my gut. What do we do now? That's when the lights flickered and everything went dark. I blinked into the darkness, confusion flooding my senses. The sudden silence was jarring. I couldn't even hear the nurse's quick breaths next to me. I tried to bat away the rising panic. The whole world had just vanished into blackness. "Are you okay?" I whispered, hoping my voice wouldn't echo into the abyss. "Stay close," she replied, her voice strained. I could barely see her form, just shadows against shadows. It felt more like nightfall than a hospital break room. I reached out to grasp her arm, reassuring myself of her presence.
"What's happening?" I asked again, but I could already sense the answer. "Power outage, I think," she said, and a hint of frustration leaked into her words. "We don't have time for this." There was a flicker, a brief flash of light, barely enough to illuminate the room before plunging us into darkness once more. I heard a faint buzzing sound, like a swarm of flies. "Daniel!" She grasped my hand tighter. "We have to move, right now!" I nodded. We felt our way to the door, and she opened it cautiously. The hallway stretched out like a dark void beyond us. The fluorescent lights had failed, plunging everything into a surreal darkness. But I noticed something else. "Wait," I said. "What about the other patients? Are they okay?" My thoughts raced back to Lisa and the figure I had seen. "Their safety is secondary," she shot back. "We can't save anyone if we don't escape first." Before I could respond, I heard it, a low growl, unlike anything I had ever encountered. It emanated from somewhere deeper in the hallway, echoing ominously. My stomach dropped. "Did you hear that?" I whispered. "Quiet," she hissed, but her voice trembled. I leaned in closer, straining to listen. The growling morphed into a cacophony of whispers. Their tone was mocking, as if they had grown bored and were playing with us. My heart thudded in my chest. We crept forward, each step heavy with dread. The air turned thick, wrapping around us like an unseen fog. The nurse pulled me to a doorway off the hallway, slowing just as we reached it. "This way!" We slipped into a supply room, and she quickly shut the door. The clatter of her elbows against boxes filled the silence. Shelves loomed in the dark, filled with medical supplies I could barely identify. "There should be a way out," she said, her voice shaky. "Just look for something." That's when I heard it again, the growl, closer this time, accompanied by the shrill laughter of the whispers. I clenched my fists, willing my brain to think straight. And then something shifted in the corner of the room. I could barely make it out, but movement flicked past me. Something was there, and it wasn't human. "Do you see that?" I pointed toward the shadow, dark against dark, slithering like smoke. But the nurse didn't answer. Her eyes were fixed on the shelves behind me. That's when I saw it. A pair of glowing eyes, wide like saucers, staring back at me from the dark. "Run!" she shouted again, urgency flooding her voice. But I couldn't move. I was frozen, trapped in a moment that felt like eternity. As the figure loomed closer, the whispers grew louder, closing in like a trap closing around its prey. What had I gotten myself into? The figure crept closer, its glowing eyes pulsing with an unsettling light that illuminated the shadowy room. Panic surged through my veins like ice water, and I barely caught the nurse's frantic voice cutting through my paralysis. "Daniel, we can't stay here. We have to find a way out." She shoved me toward the door, and the urgency in her tone broke the spell, shaking me back to reality. I stumbled backwards, my heart racing as I tried to keep pace. The whispers grew louder, swirling through the darkness like a tempest. "Help me," they chanted, echoing Lisa's voice, yet twisting into something taunting, almost sinister. I covered my ears, trying to block them out, but they wormed their way into my thoughts, binding me to the shadows. "Move," the nurse shouted, pulling me through the door, just as the figure lunged into the beam of a flickering overhead light. It was monstrous, its shape flickering between a man and pure shadow. I felt bile rise in my throat.
The hallway stretched out before us, a winding maze illuminated by the sporadic glow of emergency lights overhead. Taking a deep breath, I ran, driven by the instinct to escape that suffocating heaviness that pressed down on me. I glanced back just once, catching a glimpse of the figure standing still, watching us with a malevolent hunger. "Where do we go?" I shouted, weaving past wheelchairs and medical carts. The nurse glanced down another corridor and pointed. "The exit is this way, but we need to hurry. It won't be far behind." She took off running, and I followed, desperately trying to shake the feeling that I was being hunted. As we ran, muffled voices echoed through the empty halls, blending into a cacophony of confusion. I could hear them call my name again. Daniel. Entwined with Lisa's whisper, it filled my head with doubt. Each step forward was met with the weight of unanswerable questions. What had happened in that room? Who or what was Lisa now? "Please tell me you're sure about this," I urged, panic clawing at my chest. "I don't know," she said, barely slowing down, "but it's our only chance." We rounded a corner, and ahead, the exit sign blinked ominously with a dying light. A shudder of hope rushed through me. "There, we can get out," I pointed. "Not yet," she shouted, but as she reached for the door, the lights flickered and died completely. Everything sank into darkness, deeper than before. I slipped into the void as she screamed, "Daniel, no!" Panic ignited, and in a moment of despair, I fumbled for the door handle. All the while, a chilling laughter escalated around us. My heart drummed in my ears as I swung the door open, a rush of frigid air hitting me as the shadows melded together, distorting my vision. In one swift movement, I dragged her through the door, and we spilled out into the night air, the cool breeze enveloping us like a much-needed balm. But as I turned to catch my breath, I realized we weren't alone. The shadow that had haunted room 305 loomed at the entrance, its form shifting and writhing against the fluorescent glow of the building. Its eyes were locked onto me, and for an instant I felt its pull, as if it was trying to draw me back. "Run!" the nurse screamed, but her voice felt distant, drowned beneath the weight of terror. I knew I could run forever, but the shadows were relentless. I sprinted down the parking lot, not glancing back as fear coursed through me. My car sat idling, the doors wide open, beckoning me. The nurse followed closely, her face pale under the streetlights. "Get in!" I yelled, my hands shaking as I fumbled for the keys in my pocket. We launched into the car, and I slammed the door shut, feeling the weight of an oppressive darkness outside. As I turned the key, the engine sputtered before roaring to life. I reversed out of the lot with a burning urgency, not daring to look back at what I had left behind. We raced away, leaving the hospital shadows behind. But even as the building faded from sight, my past clawed at my psyche like a wild beast. The eerie whispers persisted, always there, echoing within my mind. I felt their presence lurk just out of reach, feeding uncertainty and dread. 3 years later, I've never returned to that hospital. I still think about Lisa. Was she just a victim? Or something more? In the stillness of night, whispers sometimes invade my dreams, reminding me of unanswered questions. And as I drive through the city, headlights glaring against the darkness, I can't shake the feeling there's something still waiting for me in the shadows, something I managed to escape, but that hasn't forgotten me. The line between the supernatural and reality blurs, leaving me to wonder, was it all just in my head? Or was room 305 truly the entrance to a darker abyss? I guess I'll never know.